Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. So, now that we're done with the haunt season, right? Time to get into some new stuff. So, I actually had a story brought to my attention by one of my older videos, and upon doing research, I kind of want to share with you guys what I found. So, let's get into today's story. Here is a story of the murder of a 15-year-old boy who lived in Rockford, Illinois. I do want to thank Gotcha G, or Gee, not really sure, for telling me about this story. Upon researching, I discovered why I hadn't heard of this before. It happened before I was born in 1975. I was born in 1983, and my parents wouldn't talk about stuff like this when I was a kid. I heard about a few stories, but honestly, I do not remember much about them. I knew I couldn't walk alone and was not allowed out after dark until I was a teenager, and then it was still kind of sketchy if I could or not. So let's get into the story. Abducted boy's body is found. The nude frozen body of Joseph Didier, kidnapped while delivering newspapers, had been found in a small cabin near the Wisconsin state line at a Boy Scout camp. Joe Davies County Coroner Alan Steinke said that Didier, the 8th grade son of a Rockford alderman, probably was strangled to death by his abductor. Didier's body was discovered by Steve Olson, 17, a member of a Monroe, Wisconsin scout troop, and William Klein, 22, a troop leader, who were summer staff members at the camp. They checked the cabin for winter weather damage when they found the body. The body was lying on the floor of a small cabin. Olson and Klein said they noticed red cuts around the boy's wrists. Steinke said it had not been determined how long the youth had been gone. The discovery of the body ended an extensive 12-day search, which began when he disappeared on the morning of March 4th. But in Rockford, Illinois, second largest city, a reward fund for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the boy's abductor reached $6,500. Now, mind you guys, this was back in 1975, so that was a lot of money back then. Steinke conducted an extensive autopsy but refused to elaborate on the circumstances surrounding the slaying. The 15-year-old son of Rockford Alderman George Didier Jr. was the third Rockford youth in 3 years to disappear while delivering newspapers. Each of the first two victims, a 12-year-old in 1973 and a 14-year-old in 1974, was sprayed with paint. The first was stripped and beaten, and the second was sexually molested. A trucker arrested and Didier slain. H. Lohr, a 36-year-old truck driver who made his daily trips between Rockford and Stockton, was charged with the murder of Joseph Didier. Lohr lived at 2904 Conklin Drive, was arrested as he left the Atwood Vacuum Machine Company in Rockford, where he was employed. Rockford Police Chief Delbert Peterson said during a tension-filled news conference, Didier disappeared at about 6:30 a.m. March 4th while delivering newspapers in the 1900 block of Fulton Avenue. His nude body was found about 2 p.m. March 15th at a scout camp about 4 miles west of Stockton in Joe Davies County. Peterson said Lohr made daily trips between the Atwood plants in Rockford and Stockton. He drove a semi-trailer truck owned by Allman Leasing Company. John W. Allman, vice president of Allman Leasing Company, wasn't surprised at the arrest of Lohr. Lohr, according to officials at the Stockton plant, left Rockford each morning at about 7 a.m. He would arrive in Stockton at about 9 a.m. and drop off the trailer at the shipping department. About 30 minutes later, he would hitch onto another trailer and pull it back to the Rockford Atwood plant. Lohr did not make his daily run to Stockton on the day of the murder, according to one of the officials at the Stockton plant. Another Rockford man, Robert Henry, had to make the run for him that day. The Stockton plant official said Lohr reportedly went to a tavern in Apple River, the Friendly Tap, owned by George Tyson, a former employee in the shipping department of the Stockton plant, on the day Didier disappeared. At Lohr's apartment, a snowmobile trailer was stored in the dark far northwest corner of the parking garage, which runs the length of his apartment building. Lower's apartment is approximately 13 blocks from 1900 Fulton Avenue, where the Didier boy was abducted. Although Peterson declined to discuss the specifics of the investigation, which resulted in Lower's arrest, he said the first tip came from someone at the Stockton plant. However, it came out that Lower has a record of prior arrests in Freeport and Reno, Nevada, in connection with sex-related crimes. Father Daniel Geohagen, the pastor at St. Bernadette's Catholic Church, where the Didier family is quite active, said that Lower is not a parish member, which included much of the northwest side of Rockford. Geohagen played a significant role in comforting the Didier family during the long ordeal. Police were said to be looking for a particular item in the camp and made a note of a stool in one of the camp counselors' cabins, similar to the one where the Didier boy was found. Police kept Lower in the camp area for approximately 20 minutes. Dr. Francis Tucker, the Freeport pathologist who conducted the autopsy on the Didier boy, said that he first thought the boy had died sometime between Saturday, March 8th and Tuesday, March 11th. But later tests indicated the victim died the day of his abduction. An early report that the boy had undigested meat in his stomach proved to be false. Dr. Tucker said, further lab tests indicated the substance was cocoa, probably drunk by the boy earlier that morning. How did he get undigested meat confused with cocoa? I want to know. Dr. Tucker said that a belt buckle could have caused an indentation on the boy's body in the right chest area. Whatever caused the indentation was removed after the boy died, he said. He said the boy was strangled by a rope, most likely found by police the day after the carrier's body was found. He said it does not appear the boy had been sexually assaulted. During the investigation, police had speculated that the Didier boy was abducted by someone involved in the Boy Scout work because of the isolated area of the camp where the body was discovered. Officials had theorized that only someone familiar with the camp would have been able to find the location. Coroner's jury says Didier's death caused by strangulation. A Joe Daviess County coroner's jury ruled Monday night that the 15-year-old Joseph Didier died by strangulation. The verdict from the 6-man jury came during a 30-minute inquest in the county courthouse. On March 21st in Rockford, H. Lower, 36, that lived at 2904 Conklin Drive, Rockford, was arrested and charged with the slaying. He is being held without bond. Well, he was being held. He was being held without bond in the Stevenson County Jail in Freeport. Coroner Alan Steinke said the pathology report of Dr. Francis Tucker in Freeport, listing the cause of death as acute anoxia, loss of respiration due to strangulation. Tucker's information listed several factors contributing to the end, including a bruise on the forehead, congested lungs and spleen, abrasions on the knuckles of one hand, and rope or strap marks around the neck, shoulders, and wrist. After 15 minutes of deliberation, the jury declared in writing that the Didier boy's death had been caused by homicidal means due to strangulation by a person or persons unknown. Lower's confession entered in murder trial describing the teen boy's hanging death. In a written confession, Robert H. Lower told police that he tied a rope to a small bench on which young Joseph Didier stood with a second rope around his neck, walked out the door of an isolated cabin, then pulled the cord and knocked over the bench and hanging the boy. The confession describing how the 15-year-old Rockford newspaper carrier died has submitted in court today during the first day of testimony in the murder trial of Lower, 37, a Rockford truck driver. Lower gave the 4-page confession to police shortly after his arrest for the Didier murder. Joe Daviess County Circuit Judge James B. Vincent admitted the statement for evidence. Rockford Police Detective Roland Donnelly testified today that Lower told police the Didier boy pleaded with Lower not to kill him. The Didier boy asked what he was going to do to him, Donnelly said. Lower responded that he would have to hang him, Donnelly testified, because if he went back to Rockford, he could identify him. Donnelly continued his narrative, saying Lower told police the Didier boy said he had a bad memory and would not identify him. But Donnelly noted, Lower admitted he continued with his preparations to hang the boy. Just before Lower walked out of the cabin to pull the rope, Joe Didier pleaded, "Please don't hang me," Donnelly said, quoting Lower. During his opening statement today, Winnebago County Assistant State's Attorney Daniel Doyle said the state would prove Lower abducted, sexually molested, and then killed the boy. However, defense attorney William Kelly said Lower suffered from a mental disease for over 20 years. He said the defense would show Lower suffered from compulsive behavior, which caused the kidnapping and murder of the Didier boy. Kelly noted that the contention would be backed by evidence, showing Lower sexually molested a boy in 1958 and another in 1968, that he continued ritualistic sexual acts with youth until 6 months ago, and that he kidnapped and molested 2 other Rockford newspaper carriers. Kelly said Lower suffered from mental diseases, which prevented him from conforming his conduct to within the law. Lower's sentence, 100 to 150 years. We did it, guys. We got somebody. Not no 15 years, 7 years. Some of it's just BS. We all know. A Joe Davies County judge Monday sentenced Robert H. Okay, it wasn't this Monday. It was set in 1975. A Joe Davies County judge sentenced Robert H. Lower to a prison term of 100 to 150 years for the strangulation death of 15-year-old Joseph P. Didier. Lower, 37, lived at 2904 Conklin Drive, showed no emotion as Judge James B. Vincent announced the sentence to a courtroom audience that included a sister and brother of Didier and several close family members. Vincent found Lower guilty in October after a 3-day trial. So, guys, I did find out what happened to Lower, the murderer. Robert Lower died of medical complications in prison on February 19th, 2017. He lived a hell of a lot longer than this poor kid. And he spent a lot more time in prison than that poor kid got to live. It's sick. No matter what, it's sick. This actually happened really not that far from my house. I actually drive by Pennins all the time, and Pennins is on Fulton. So this kid essentially got kidnapped on the street that I drive down 2-3 times a day sometimes. I drive by his house where his parents lived at. Conklin, I don't really go by Conklin, but I know where it's at. So I did drive by the house, and I did get some footage to put into the video. And then, you know, it still doesn't make anything right. I did not go to the cemetery. I didn't go to his grave. I did watch a guy that had did a story about this, well, had covered this story, and he actually went to the cemetery. I actually drove by Joey's house where he lived as a kid with his parents. And then I drove around the neighborhood by Pennins. I didn't actually drive by Pennins. They had some stuff going on. They always have road construction stuff going on. But there was something going on. I didn't actually go down Fulton. So, I don't know. It's a really sad story, guys. It's a really sad story. I'd like to know what you think, though. And if you happen to know of anything else that happened in Illinois, possibly by me, or not. I'm just kind of venturing out. I know it's about to be winter, so I'm about to turn into a hibernating bear because I don't like to go out in the winter. I don't like going out in the winter. I don't even like driving in it. So I'll start covering all them other stories then. Until it snows, though, I would like to get out and about. Doing a whole month long of serial killers and murderers was exhausting. Plus doing a video every day was exhausting. Did not get this video done. I didn't like how it turned out, and it was like 40 minutes the last time. So I completely took out huge chunks of irrelevant information so that I can make this a lot shorter. So 16 minutes, 17 minutes compared to 40 is a hell of a lot better, guys. All right, anyways, on that note, thank you for watching. If you liked my video, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.